what is the Safer Kentucky Act? It was signed into law. What's included? What is this buffet of going after the homeless?
Yeah, so the really like headline or attention grabbing part of the Safer Kentucky Act, HB 5, is that it basically decriminalizes the use of deadly force against individuals engaged in unlawful camping. So anyone who's unhoused, who just needs a place to stay. So if a property owner believes that like an unhoused person is trespassing and is attempting to commit a felony or dispossess him, they can shoot that person.
Wait. Okay, so that they can shoot them?
Yeah, and Kentucky already has like stand your ground laws, something that would maybe even protect this, even if it would have happened otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
But specifically written into this law is saying, hey, if you think somebody's gonna, do something bad on your property, just go right ahead.
And do something bad is just simply like camping, or for example, this is just like a personal aside. My neighbors have like a hose that's like kind of faces the street, and there's a woman who, I don't know if she's unhoused, but whatever, she like sometimes will use that hose. She'll like use it to wash. Under this law, you could probably like that justifies someone trying to shoot at this woman. Like doing anything on your property. Like maybe digging through your trash is another example. Next door freaks out about that. Someone's digging through my trash. They dig on your trash. It's okay to shoot them.
I think that the idea is that they would have to be doing something, you believe that they would be doing something illegal, such as like committing arson or trying to steal something of yours. But people who we talked to said that the vagueness of the law, because it was like, it's a little confusing, right? But that the vagueness of the law seems to be intentional, so that a jury would have to decide whether an individual was like crossing the line, and this is after they would be shot,
Oh, sure. Yeah, this is after the damage has been done. But Rowan, that's like the extreme, but there's also like what's crazy is just how much is in this bill. And can you explain what else is in the bill, and also where did it come from? Like, because this did not just emerge out of thin air.
Yeah, sure. So the ACLU, they have a really good quote. They called it an extremely bloated collection of regressive policies and regurgitated ideas that have proven ineffective in the past. And that's basically what it's literally like a smorgasbord, a sort of tapas selection of every terrible tough on crime, quote unquote, idea that has emerged in the last sort of 50 years of like awful policy making.
Right.
There's like a 3-strike rule, which applies to various crimes and basically like will send you immediately to jail. There's the whole homelessness stuff. There's an expansion on already like Paige already mentioned that Kentucky stand your ground laws are really strong. They're expanding it even further. And a host of other things, which basically people we spoke to have said is kind of intentional, because it throws all these advocacy groups into disarray because there's so much bad stuff. It's like, okay, well, do we tackle the homelessness stuff? But then they still have all these like crazy other tough on crime laws. Do we tackle the other crime laws and let the homelessness stuff get through? But then obviously that's bad because you've got all these crazy like shooting to kill homeless people who just are like camping on your property.
Right.
So it's almost like they're trying to jam through so much in one bill. It overwhelms the opposition and makes people just like lose any hope of stopping bad things from happening.
Yeah, it kind of compounds all of the little things, like you can't, block a sidewalk, or the 3 strikes law is really interesting because does that apply to like if you are found to be camping or whatnot? Like, because is that one of the strikes that could wind you in jail?
Yeah, so the first is a fine. It's like $250, I think. And then subsequent citations for unlawful camping is a Class B misdemeanor, and that's another $250 fine, but also up to 90 days in jail. And as people say time and time again, what's going to help a homeless person get off the streets? Put them in jail, take away all their possessions, and give them a $250 fine. That will help them afford housing.
Oh yeah, the job comes right after that. Like once you've gotten through the hurdles, there's like a prize, which is a home.
Yeah. Famously, people leaving prison and jail actually famously get given jobs and houses, and it's so much easier.
It's really easy. Yeah. No, obviously,
a resume booster.
I mean, the Netflix show Made taught me that. I was like, damn, that is fucked up that she can't get a job or get a lease on any place. So anyway, but
yeah. And Francesca, you asked, where did this come from, right?
Yeah.
And in some way, as we were saying, it's a regurgitated, tough on crime stuff that we see over and over again. But it didn't spring up from nowhere. It sprang up from some place called the Cicero Institute, who has been shepherding anti-homeless laws for the past couple years in nearly every U.S. state. So they're conservative.
They're like they're like the ALEC of going after the homeless.
Exactly. They've made that their specialty.
And the poor as well, not just the homeless.
Oh, fun. Yeah.
So they're a conservative think tank founded by a Palantir alum, focused on fixing broken systems in the public sector.
Nice euphemism.
So they have model legislation that's been passed in Missouri, Tennessee, Texas, Utah. And as I said, nearly every state, they're on their way.
And the other thing, Rowan, that from your guys' piece that I thought was really stark was potentially giving more power to landlords. So that obviously the housing crisis that results in homelessness is not fixed. It's still a crisis. But how could there be more power given to landlords? Either of you can answer, but I thought that was really chilling.
I think what we ended up, the way we ended up conceiving this is it's part of this wider movement where you'll hear people like in New York talking about like squatters' rights, quote unquote. And it's this big thing where like people are afraid that homeless people are going to steal your property or tenants are going to refuse to leave and like smash up your apartment. So, we need to give landlords the power to basically protect their property against these individuals. Because remember, a large majority of people blame people for being homeless, right? We're going to talk about the Supreme Court later. That's the whole thing. So, we've got to protect landlords from these awful criminals who are going to like destroy their property.
Who fucking deserve for their property to be destroyed. I'm sorry, I've had terrible landlords.
Yeah. And so in Kentucky, any amount of what the landlord believes or what the property owner believes to be intentional damage caused by when the tenant moves out could result in a criminal mischief charge. So
you didn't caulk up the holes that you put in the wall. I'm not giving you back your deposit, and two, I'm charging you with this. Like that's just it's so rich. It's so fucked because I've never seen legislation that also went after tenants. But because we all know, and as you guys write, as others have written about, and the advocates you've talked to, that so many folks are just one missed paycheck away, or a unexpected medical expense, or a death from a family member away from being homeless. What were those advocates saying? And also, maybe related to this, what were they saying about like Governor Andy Beshear, who's a fucking Democrat? Like, where are the Democrats on this? Speaking of, Democrat Republic consensus, I feel like it also applies to this issue.
Yeah. So what was tough about specifically this Safer Kentucky Act that we looked at is that Governor Andy Beshear, basically, because of the conservative supermajority, has absolutely no power to stop this act. So the act actually was approved by the House and Senate in Kentucky, and Beshear did eventually go on to veto it, but it doesn't matter because it'll just go into effect. But that was even a struggle that advocates were talking about, is trying to make sure that Democratic governor vetoed it, even symbolically, to show like this isn't right. As we know, and as we've seen in San Francisco and Portland, there's very little daylight between, Democratic mayors or governors, or Democratic politicians and Republicans on the issue of homelessness. As we'll talk about the Supreme Court, Governor Gavin Newsom and Mayor London Breed actually wanted the Supreme Court to take up anti-homelessness cases and beg them to do so.
Fuck them. Fuck Breed. Fuck Newsom. I'm so annoyed. What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/bitchuation room. Do